Welcome to the Smart Weight Loss Coaching Podcast. I'm Dr. Lisa Olson, a board-certified weight loss medicine specialist and certified life coach. In this podcast, I'll share fresh insights and effective techniques for incorporating mindset, habit change, and proven science into your life. Are you ready to achieve sustainable weight loss, wellness, and longevity? Then let's jump in and lose weight the smart way. Welcome back. Let me start by saying thank you so much for pushing us to over 15,000 downloads of the Smart Weight Loss Coaching Podcast. What an honor it is to have so many of you listening and sharing this podcast with people you care about who are interested in a positive science-based approach to weight loss and health. If you're not already following the show, please click that follow button so we can bring you the latest research about weight loss and health each week. Now, I have a question for you. How would you describe your diet? Or, as I like to say when I'm being fancy, your nutritional protocol. I consider myself plant-forward. And by that, I mean I eat a lot of fully plant-based or vegan meals, a lot of vegetarian meals that might include eggs or dairy, and occasionally I'll eat some sort of animal protein, most typically fish. I don't believe there's one right answer for everyone, and the research on weight loss tells us there is not just one right way to eat. So I don't push a vegan or vegetarian protocol because I don't consider that mandatory for weight loss or good health. However, there's been a deluge of research in recent years that has moved me from an omnivore lifestyle where I ate every kind of food to a more plant-forward approach. Here's one study from early 2025 published in the journal Nature Microbiology. You read that one, right? I'm just kidding. I read that, so you don't have to. You're welcome. In this research study, researchers studied over 21,000 people from the UK, the US, and Italy, looking at their gut microbiome and their diets. Remember the gut microbiome? Your gut, or the inside of your intestines and stomach, houses a tiny biome unique to you. In this biome, there are trillions of microscopic organisms, including bacteria, viruses, fungi, and even parasites. By the way, in case you're curious, fungi and fungi are both correct pronunciations for the plant group that includes mushroom, yeast, and mold. Yes, we all have fungi in our gut microbiomes. Our diet and environment impact what sort of organisms are found in our unique gut microbiome. These organisms are generally symbiotic, which means they coexist with us and cause us no harm. In fact, the human and gut organisms both benefit from the relationship. For us, the helpful microbes keep harmful bugs in check, preventing illness. The Cleveland Clinic describes the gut microbiome as a diverse native garden that you rely on for nutritious foods and medicines. When your garden is healthy and thriving, you thrive too. But if the soil is depleted or polluted, or if pests or weeds are overrunning the helpful plants, it can upset your whole ecosystem. A healthy gut microbiome improves digestion, supports the immune system, and reduces inflammation. It also supports our endocrine and nervous systems. Dysbiosis is a term that means there's a problem in that gut garden paradise. Either, number one, not enough good bacteria, number two, too many harmful bacteria, or number three, not enough diversity of bacteria. We don't want just one kind. The environment is healthy when there's a variety of organisms living there. Any one of these problems can cause disease or dysfunction throughout the body. Before coming back to our study, let's hear a brief word from our sponsor. Just kidding. It's still me, Dr. Lisa Olson, founder of Smart Weight Loss Coaching. I'd like to take a quick moment to talk to those of you who are in a new stage of life when it comes to weight loss. If you're as focused on your health as you are on the scale, you're my person. In my online program, you'll establish healthy habits for weight loss, better health, and longevity. We tap into the research on nutrition, movement, sleep, stress, habit change, mindfulness, and positive psychology to help you transform the way you take care of yourself and the way you talk to yourself. I'd love to meet you. If the feeling is mutual, head over to smartweightlosscoaching.com. Now, let's get back to the study. After analyzing food patterns and stool samples, glad I don't have that job, researchers found that omnivores, meaning people who eat both animal and plant foods, had higher levels of bacteria in their gut that have been linked to an increased risk for colon cancer. Vegans, on the other hand, had low levels of the bacteria that increased the risk for colon cancer, and they had an abundance of microbes with favorable heart health and metabolic markers. And here's what's really interesting. Those healthy microbes seen in vegans also appeared in the gut microbiomes of omnivores, but those who ate more plants in addition to their meat. What this means in practical terms is that if you eat both meat and plants, focusing your effort on increasing your plants may be more helpful for preventing cancer than cutting out meat. I'll repeat that again because it's a great health nugget for all of us to consider. If you want to create a healthier gut microbiome and reduce your risk of cancer, eat more plants because increasing plants is more important than reducing meat. I was delighted to come across this data because that gives everyone who enjoys meat the opportunity to influence their cancer risk without having to become vegan or vegetarian. The American Institute for Cancer Research, the AICR, encourages a plant-based diet to reduce cancer risk, but they follow a flexible approach to what that might look like. They recommend making at least 2/3 of your plate plants, including vegetables, fruits, beans, and whole grains. No more than 1/3 of your plate should come from animal protein. This aggressive plant-forward approach can help with weight loss as well as reducing the risk of cancer. According to Dr. Edward Giovannucci, a professor at Harvard, although the term plant-based is used, these aren't vegan or vegetarian diets. People scoring highly on the healthy plant-based index still tend to eat some animal-based foods, although they tend to be healthier versions of meat and dairy. He further explains that cancers of the esophagus, stomach, colon, rectum, liver, and possibly pancreas appear to be the cancer types most impacted by a healthy plant-based diet. Let's look at a 2023 meta-analysis that included 22 studies on cancer with over 57,000 participants. Researchers there found that a greater adherence, meaning sticking to a healthy plant-based diet, was associated with a 14% reduced risk for cancer, mainly breast, pancreatic, and prostate cancer. In this particular meta-analysis, a healthy plant-based diet reduced the risk of pancreatic cancer more than any other cancer. The risk dropped by 32%. The risk for colorectal cancer also dropped by an impressive 15%. Notice that we're discussing healthy plant-based diets, which include a lot of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and legumes. Any conversation about what makes up a healthy plant-based diet always mentions legumes, and I find that to be an unfamiliar term for most people, so let me define it. Legumes include things like lentils, peas, and all sorts of beans, like black beans, edamame, chickpeas, pinto beans, and so on. The big surprise in the legume category is always peanuts. Most people think of them as nuts, but peanuts are actually classified as legumes. They have more in common with beans than with almonds. Anyway, keep in mind that it's possible to have unhealthy vegetarian or vegan diet. That type of diet typically includes a high percentage of ultra-processed foods, also called Nova-4 foods, and that can actually increase the risk of cancer. Limiting meat does little for your health if you're eating most of your calories in the form of ultra-processed foods. This kind of food not only increases the risk for cancer, but also for obesity, diabetes, and now we also know even dementia. You've heard me say it before. I'll say it again because it's such a big deal. If you want your brain to stay sharp, you've got to cut back on ultra-processed foods. People who eat a lot of red meat and processed meats like deli meat, bacon, hot dogs, and sausages have a higher risk for breast, colorectal, and lung cancers, in part due to inflammation. In contrast, plants tend to have anti-inflammatory effects that can block cancer. Over the past 15 years or so, the research on plant-based eating has been more flexible and includes people with a plant-forward approach who still eat some animal products. A meta-analysis from 2017, for example, didn't specify vegetarian when they compared plant-based eating patterns to others. This meta-analysis included 4 studies on colorectal cancer, 2 on gastric and esophageal cancers, and 1 on breast and ovarian cancer. Compared with high plant consumption diets, high meat consumption diets had a 64% increased risk for cancer. This is a big deal. I encourage people to lean into a plant-forward approach for weight loss and health. But I recognize that this takes time. It's truly never too late to start gently shifting in the direction of eating more plants. But I'd never tell you that animal protein is forbidden. I just recommend that you focus on less frequent and smaller portions of animal proteins and focus on quality by looking for grass-fed, organic options without exposure to hormones or antibiotics. Circling back to the gut microbiome, we know that people who eat a big variety of different plants have a more diverse gut microbiome, meaning they have more variety in the microbes living inside their gut. This is a good thing. It's recently been linked to a lower rate of relapse after treatment of some cancers. All of this data we're talking about is fantastic news because it puts you back in the driver's seat. We can't change all of the things that put our health at risk, like our genetics, but we can start to add more plants to our diet in an intentional effort to live longer, healthier, free of cancer, excess weight, and other chronic conditions. Although I follow a plant-forward diet, I don't consider anything forbidden, and you don't have to either. Start by eating what you love and tweak it by adding more plants. Remember from that earlier study I mentioned, adding the plants has more benefit than cutting out the meat, although you can certainly do both. You don't have to completely make over your plate effective today to lower your risk of cancer, diabetes, or weight gain. Eat more nuts, eat more beans and lentils, definitely eat more fruits and vegetables, and you can increase all of that over time. Every day we make so many choices that impact our health, and it's time for you to make one with me. That's right, it's time for your NBA, your next best action. I can only hope that today's NBA for you involves a plant. Thanks so much for listening. If you'd like more support during your smart weight loss journey, check out our group coaching program at smartweightlosscoaching.com. Until next time, stay well and stay smart.